Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Master Slice, and on this show, I'm gonna talk about go or no go. Now, go or no go? Should you go to court or should you not? I'm gonna talk about that. Now, everybody thinks because they get a pretty little letter from the courthouse that they need to go to court. That's your choice. I am not a lawyer and I'm not giving any legal advice, so please don't be like, oh, that dude on fucking YouTube said this or that. You decide on your own. But what I can say is, if you're the plaintiff and you get a letter, there's should I go to court or should I not go to court? Now, if you're the plaintiff and it's criminal court, you don't have to show up to court. You just be like, no, just let it go. And that's it. They'll just drop the charges on the defendant. And that's what happens. You're not going to get in trouble. If you're the plaintiff and it's a criminal case and you decide to show up to court and they find out that what you did to get this person in trouble was either A, a bunch of lies, or B, you did it in a way that's called racketeering, kind of like, let's say, like you're in a gang or you're a gang leader and you have the soldiers underneath you do illegal activities and they point you out, then you could go to jail for racketeering, even if you're the plaintiff on some things. Say you drove that person crazy to the point where they did something wrong and then got charged for it, and then they find out that that was all because of what you did, then you could probably get in trouble for that too. So you might want to think twice about going to court, even if you're the plaintiff. Like if you're the defendant, you always got to go to court. There's really no say so in that matter, unless it's like family court and you're like, whatever, they want to do whatever they want to do, and then you face the consequences in the end, which may be paying child support or losing time with your children or whatever the case may be in that situation. So if you're the defendant in family court, you may not see jail time for not showing up, but there might be consequences for you, especially if you're a man. If you're a woman, a lot of times they'll probably say, oh, we'll give her another chance. It's happened a lot. That's just the way the world is. They might call her and give her another chance. If you're a man in that situation, in most cases, they're just going to go along with the procedure and do whatever they want. So situations are different for men and women, especially in family court. So keep that in mind. That's just reality. So there's gender right there that may give or take and help or hinder you in family court, and also the way you present yourself in race, your hygiene, all of these things are going to take into consideration by the judge and everybody else. So if you're the plaintiff, like say you're an officer, you give somebody a ticket, you don't have to show up to court. Nothing's going to happen. They're just going to dismiss the charges. Just like if like say somebody came into your house and they arrested that person for trespassing, and you don't show up to court, they're not going to do you anything. They're just going to drop the charges on the other person more than likely, and then they'll just let it go. Or they might try to get a hold of you or try to set it up for a later date, but more than likely they'll just drop the charges. So, you know, if you have a case against somebody with another person, like say there's two of you involved, say like somebody was trying to attack you and somebody you were with, and you show up to court, and then that other person shows up to court and says, well, you provoked it, then you might get in trouble too. So you might want to think twice about showing up to court if you're the plaintiff in that type of situation too, because you don't know what's going to happen there, because you might be in the wrong when it comes to actually going to court. So you might want to be careful even if you're the plaintiff in going to court, because everybody thinks that, oh, I'm the plaintiff and we're going to get that person and that person's going to get and serve jail time. You better hope all of your ducks are lined up in a row, because if they're not, then believe me, you might get in trouble too. So, you know, if you're the defendant in a case and you hurt somebody or you did somebody to somebody, or you're being accused of it, even if you didn't do it, you better show up to court, because they're going to charge you with it no matter what. And then they're going to put a warrant out for your arrest, and eventually they're going to find you. And then you're going to have more charges. So your chances of doing less time will be better on your side if you go to court and show up on time than if you don't show up at all, if you're the defendant in a criminal case, because they're going to charge you for it. Like, even if it's a small thing like a traffic ticket, a speeding ticket, small misdemeanors like that, I've gotten so many bench warrants for just not paying them because I forgot to, or not showing up to court because I forgot to. And then you go hang out with your buddies and talk to the judge, and if it's a little misdemeanor stuff like that, they usually just drop the charge and it's time served. So that's just, you know, from what I've experienced in the past. And if it's a traffic ticket or anything that's like that against you and there's a police officer involved, show up to court and try to prolong it too. You know, I've done things where it was a speeding ticket that I got, and I heard through the grapevine that the cop was going to retire soon. They posted it on the newspaper, and so I just moved the court hearing date back. They'll let you do it 2 times with real no excuse at all. And I moved it back and moved it back. It was like maybe 9 months after I had received a ticket. And you think a retired police officer is really going to show up to court for somebody on a traffic violation, speeding ticket? No, more than likely not. So that's just what happened in my situation, and I'm not telling you it's going to happen in yours, and that's what everybody should do if you get traffic tickets and you find out the cop's going to retire. That's just one situation that happened, you know. Another situation with parking tickets, you'll get the boot if you get too many of them, so you got to think, do I pay this or not? It's going to go on my credit score, so I could mess that up. You got to think about, do I want that on there or not? Or do I just pay it? So, you know, that's just my thoughts on Should I go or no go? Now, there's a bunch of different, I know, like I talked about different things, like if you're the plaintiff, you're the defendant, all these different things and stuff like that, but that's just it. And my thoughts on go or no go. Peace out. Mastice Ice.